There is one skill that changes everything when you learn it. And I think a lot of people who embark on a journey of transforming their lives, healing old wounds, chasing their dreams, trying to love better, I think a lot of those people often miss this one foundational skill. And when they miss it, it makes the journey so much harder. I think it's why people say a lot of the time, therapy didn't work for me, or coaching didn't work for me, or that men's group didn't work for me. I don't think that it is that the work they're doing doesn't work. I think it's that most of the time, this skill is missing. And these are the people who often end up in my men's circles, my workshops, my one-on-one and couples coaching, right? A lot of these people have therapists, but they still feel really frustrated and stuck. A lot of these people are struggling in their relationships. Maybe they're even in couples therapy, but they feel like it's more for their partner than for them, and they still have these unresolvable issues that don't seem to be improving no matter what they do. And so today on the podcast, I want to offer you a way in to what I believe is the foundational skill for your next evolution. And this skill is where it all begins. So if you stick with me through this episode, and if you avoid the trap of, I already know this stuff, I promise you're going to walk away with a new level of self-awareness and a way to embodiment and creating the life that you really want. If that sounds interesting, stay with me. This is Reclaiming the Gentleman. I'm Dave Lashansky. So let's get right into it. The skill that I'm talking about that's going to change everything for you. And when I say that, I really mean it. I know a lot of coaches use this language as sales, but I have proof in my own life that I'll get into in this episode that it does change everything. So what's the skill? It's got two layers. It's got a surface layer and a deeper layer. And the surface layer and the deeper layer together are called body awareness and self-validation. Now, even if you think you know what those words mean, body awareness, self-validation, I want to invite you to stay open and be curious. Because mastering these skills is not just self-care. It's not just mindfulness. It's not these things that you've heard of and have tried before. It is the foundation of transformation. When you master body awareness and self-validation, you become unstoppable. If you think you already know this, but you're still struggling with clarity in how you're meant to serve here, a sense of purposelessness, feeling like life is pointless, struggling and struggling and struggling without any glimpses of the light, without any glimpses of the joy that life is here to offer you, the chances are that you're not yet embodying those skills of body awareness and self-validation. And I think this is a trap we often fall into, especially if we've been doing the work for a long time. We think these are simple foundational skills because they are. But we often skip over the embodiment part, really living in body awareness and allowing self-validation to become our norm. And I'm going to share more about what these actually are if you're confused. But before we go deeper, you might be wondering, Dave, how the hell would you know this? And the truth is that not that long ago, I didn't. I wasn't thriving. I wasn't connected to myself, in my relationship. The best word I can use to describe how I was feeling was lifeless, numb, stuck. And every day, I would sit in front of my computer editing podcasts. There was minimal human interaction. I was barely scraping by financially. I had no energy to move my body, and I was in a constant state of looping doubt and anxiety about my work and my friendships, my family and my relationships. And I kept asking, why is my life like this? And fast forward to now, every single day, I do work that even if I won the lottery tomorrow, I would still be doing. I am more connected and more attracted and more deeply in love with my fiance, which I can only say for about 2 more weeks because we'll be married in about 2 weeks, than ever before in our 10 years together. I have friends and family that I can lean on when I'm struggling. And these are mostly relationships that existed before I'd done this work, before I'd really come into a level of competence, even mastery in my body awareness and self-validation. But what happened was, because I've learned how to show up for myself in this way, because I've learned to become more present, more authentic, more loving, these relationships are so much more alive and mutual and powerful. And look, my life isn't perfect, but I'm not looking at it and asking why it's so hard. I see clearly what I am here to do. I know what I'm here to offer the world. I know where I'm going in my life, and I know what it will take from me to get there. And on top of all of that, I trust myself to make decisions, to act with integrity when things don't go as planned. And that's the evidence of why these skills matter. Because body awareness and self-validation, this core skill, doesn't make life perfect. It doesn't change the hard facts of reality. But what this skill does is allow you to actually feel your life instead of chasing it. It gives you clarity and direction. It gives you that connection to your core, to your vitality. It shows you that you do, in fact, have the ability to move toward your purpose, toward what you want, toward your dreams, without abandoning yourself. And that's the point. It's not perfection. It's not to wake up a millionaire with the beautiful spouse and all of the things you ever wanted. No, the goal is to wake up to the miracle of being alive while you're living it. Because being disconnected from yourself, from what you feel and what you need, being disconnected from what you feel like you're here to offer the world, makes life feel flat and heavy and meaningless. It creates this sense of panic that most people live in constantly. The skill of body awareness and self-validation becomes your compass that lets you direct your energy, your life force energy, with precision. It allows you to stay open to possibility and trust yourself again. And that kind of clarity is what makes life feel good. It's not achieving the goals, but being alive in the process of becoming who you're here to be. There's actually this quote from Will Smith that perfectly captures this. And I love this coming from Will Smith because there was a time when he was experiencing the pinnacle of success, as many people would define it, as our culture would define it, right? He was arguably one of the most famous men in the world for a long time. And he talks about what it was like to be on that mountaintop and look down. And I'll play this clip from this interview with him that was just a few months ago, but that I think just perfectly illustrates the point that I'm talking about here.
I wish that everybody could have everything they dream. Right. To realize that that's not it. Right. You know, people talk about rock bottom, that when you hit rock bottom is when you'll make a change. But there's a corresponding place that I call cliff top. where you get so high that you realize literally none of the stuff can make you happy. You can get to the end of the material world. You get to the end of money. You get to the end of sex. You get to the end of fame. You have so much, and then you like go off of a cliff into the same kind of abyss that you'd be scared of slipping into at rock bottom, right? Where life loses all of its ability to sustain and please you. Right. And then the only thing that's left, the same thing at rock bottom, the only thing that's left at cliff top is you have to find what you're actually looking for, and what you're actually looking for is you.
And that is the truth. All the goals, all the love, all the achievements mean nothing if you're not in your body to experience them. If you don't know yourself, if you're not here in your presence, you're not actually receiving these things you think you want, these things you think will make you happy. That's what we're talking about in this episode. It's how to reconnect with yourself. It's how to receive all that life has to offer, and allowing yourself to be present to that experience when it happens through body awareness and self-validation. This single practice can transform the way you live and love and lead and receive. So let's open that door. Let's talk about what this actually is. Body awareness is exactly what it sounds like. It is being inside your body and aware of the sensations that you experience there. It sounds very simple, but so many of us today live with such a high level of anxiety that we've actually normalized the sensation of anxiety in our body so that it feels like nothing. It's become this white noise, an invisible buzz happening under everything we do. And when anxiety becomes normal, we stop noticing it. And when we stop noticing anxiety, we perform the things we need to just to function, and we check out for all the rest of it. We lose the ability to feel what's actually happening inside of us, the messages we are receiving from our body. And when we start to bring awareness back into the body, something starts to happen. And we realize that pit in our stomach, that feeling of uneasiness, that buzzing, fluttering feeling has, for many of us, always been there. And this is not a comfortable thing to notice. But the way out is through. And the very first step of body awareness, and the step that most people actually skip, is just noticing what's happening in your body. People show up to therapy thinking it's going to fix them. People show up to a men's circle thinking it's going to give them all the answers, when really, if we are skipping over our body, if we are checking out of our body, if we are not noticing what's happening there, we'll never be able to experience life. It all happens through the body. And one simple way to practice body awareness right now is just to locate a place in your body that feels familiar, that feels easy for you to sense. Maybe it's your hands, maybe it's your seat or your feet. Maybe it's the muscles you worked this morning at the gym, or the place where your body is just touching something right now. The steering wheel, a pillow, the chair, whatever it might be. And start by just noticing the thing, the part of you, the sensation in your body that you notice when you direct your attention there. This act, right, moving your awareness into your body, is the foundation. This is body awareness. And we can deepen this skill to the point of really starting to receive what's actually happening for us. And this becomes important because when we get activated, when something happens in life that stirs a lot of sensation, we can notice it, right? That activation becomes information, intel. It helps us know who we are, right? Having body awareness, noticing the activation in our body, helps us understand how we interpret the world around us. And if you're living in the modern world in the United States or a country like it, and you're dealing with the stressors of balancing bills or stress at work or a fight with your spouse or your partner, very real stressors, but not actually dangerous stressors, ones that will kill you if you make the wrong choice. Most of us are not actually in imminent physical danger, which means we get the luxury of noticing what's happening in our bodies. When we're receiving input, when we're receiving the alarm bells and the alerts telling us that that we're going to die, that it's all going to end. When we start to observe all of that old and unconscious patterning, those alarm systems that have been running for years, that are telling us something's wrong, something's really wrong, we're not safe, when actually we are. We start to learn about who we are and why we respond the way we do. And regardless of whether you like it or not, that's the thing Will Smith is talking about. That's the journey of finding yourself. That's the stuff that makes life most amazing. Learning how you work on the inside. It all starts there. And here's the thing, and here's where this second step, this deeper layer of self-validation comes in. Because once we start to do this work, once we start to notice what's happening, it becomes really easy. It is definitely the norm to turn on yourself. We start to shame our overreactions. We start to notice our childlike patterns, how immature we are, how entitled we are, how stupid we are. We see all the ways that we still respond to the world like children. And in a way, it's true. We are responding like kids, but it's not our fault. And shaming ourselves for it doesn't heal it. And what we need, which most of us never got, is this next layer down, this self-validation. And this part is also really simple. Self-validation is acknowledging what is true in your direct experience. So for example, if I feel that flutter of anxiety in my stomach, it feels like butterflies, right? I can simply say to myself, I'm feeling some butterflies in my abdomen right now. I'm feeling uncomfortable. That's it. It's not dramatic. It's not judgmental. It's honest. But here's why it's so powerful. When you start to engage the world and other people with this level of objective clarity, with this level of allowing your experience to come through you, it changes how you show up for yourself and other people. And the power of it really comes from this. It comes from the fact that at some point when we were kids, most of us learned to not trust ourselves. Most of us at some point learned in some way that listening to our sensitive bodies made us weird or weak or a target, and that it was safer to numb out and blend in. I really believe we all experience this, moments like this in some way, right? Like that time you didn't feel right to tease that kid, but you did it anyway to fit in. Or you didn't want to kiss that person, or you didn't want to say that thing or go along with that plan, but you overrode your gut to avoid the rejection, to avoid being weird, to avoid whatever. And every time you did that, especially as a child, this belief that the body can't be trusted, that the body would lead you astray, that it wasn't giving you the information you needed to thrive, to fit in, to be good, told you that your inner signals were unreliable and dangerous. And now as an adult, when you're practicing body awareness and you're bringing those sensations back online, those old pathways really quickly start to take over. We tend to, when we notice sensations, suppress them or over-exaggerate them or shame yourself for feeling them, right? And self-validation is the remedy. It changes that instinctual response to what you notice in your body. Because when we learn to notice what's happening and gently name it as true, acknowledge its presence, you start to rebuild trust with yourself and your body. You start to befriend yourself again. You start to reclaim those parts of you that you had to abandon to fit in or to thrive or whatever. In this process, you begin to reconnect to your inner world and discover that it is so much more vibrant and alive than you ever even realized. There's so much more information there that can guide you in those moments that right now feel really hard. And body awareness and self-validation open the door to that world where your sense of purpose and inspiration and love really live, where meaning comes from, where you actually receive the things that you think will make you happy right now, but that without these skills, you won't even be able to experience in the first place. Because honoring what is alive inside of you opens and allows what wants to come through you to come through you. It allows you to create from a space of awareness and presence. It makes your work and your words and your relationships, even just the way you hold yourself as you walk through the world, carry your unique signature. It is the formula of authenticity. And that is what makes life beautiful. It's about what you allow. It's about honoring what you allow to move through you, to come from you. And it all starts with noticing what you feel and validating what's true. And the rest unfolds from there. Thank you for listening. In this episode, we talked about what's actually the first step of my 21-day program, Reclaiming the Gentle Man. And this foundation makes everything else possible and is the way in for so many of us who are adults today. And there's so much more to explore in this work. But for now, try this practice. See what it's like to really observe what's happening in your body and to accompany that with validating your own experience. And if any of this starts to resonate with you, if you have an experience or if you just have a question, let me know. Get in touch. You can reach me on Instagram at Dave_Lashansky. You can get in touch through my website, davelashansky.com. I love hearing from people who are getting something from this show. As always, this episode was produced by me through my podcast production company, David Benjamin Sound. You can learn more about podcasting for you or your business at davidbenjaminsound.com. Thanks again for tuning in. I am grateful for your ears. I'll be back in a week.